I'm going to jump right in. So good morning again, folks. Jim Giacchetta here from VidOvation. We thank you for taking time out of your busy Thursday. We hope to educate you and provide you with some valuable information on some of the questions you need to ask your vendors, your partners, your colleagues, if and when you feel it's appropriate to implement a IPTV system for sports applications. So let's just dive right in. So what is the main purpose if we're going to do IPTV? I mean, what's it all about? When it comes to technology and sports, most of the time it's for fan experience or some revenue generating initiative. For the most part, in the case of IPTV and distributing live television and media on the network to displays, to desktops, to TVs, to smart devices, it's to engage the fan and increase that fan experience. So as this slide depicts here, we were able to integrate some animations. You know, if your team scores, you can put a splash screen that says, you know, touchdown or goal, or you could even have the horn sound in a hockey VIP suite. So it's all about the fan, and it's all about making that experience better for the fan. But then also to possibly generate some extra revenue for the facility, for the team, for the venue. So a lot of times we get asked, I already have a TV system, I'm using coax, I'm using RF over coax, the system works, I have some generic TV sets with cable tuners in them. Great, if that's working for you, then maybe you're not ready for IPTV. But if you want to take your experience to the next level, if you want to have more bells and whistles, some of the advanced features of IPTV that you can't get with a traditional RF system, then it might be time to consider upgrading to IPTV. IPTV, while RF, the quality these days usually can be pretty good, you're always going to have better quality with a fully digital system with IPTV. You can have a higher resolution for a given bit rate. A lot of RF systems, even though they may be digital, are using MPEG-2, so you can't fit as much video quality over an MPEG-2 stream. So part of the migration to IPTV would be to get away from MPEG-2 and try to go to H.264 MPEG-4. So you're going to get better picture quality. You're going to have a better fan experience. And by fan experience, you can have displays around the venue that show the game. You can have statistics on the screen. You can have smart devices. There's a very big trend now in all walks of life, whether it's sports or corporate or any kind of a live event, and it's called bring your own device. And everyone has a display in their device, whether it's an iPhone or iPhone Plus, which is huge, or an iPad, Android, or whatever type, or Microsoft type device. Whatever device people have in their pocket, they theoretically could log into an IPTV system to enhance their experience. Some sports leagues have been very progressive with their second screen experience. Major League Baseball, for example, has a very sophisticated app that shows strikes and pitches and whatnot. So that type of content, that second screen content, could be part of the IPTV experience that we could create for you. So all that would add to the ROI, the fan experience, and then you can sell merchandise to people through these systems. So that gives you a little bit of an overview. I'm going to dive a little deeper into these different subjects. Also, a common question is, I think people are afraid to talk about IPTV, thinking that it's exorbitantly expensive. Yes, there are systems out there that are very, very expensive. Uh, when you're working with your vendor, of course, you want to try to get the best price. We feel that our solution is one of the lower cost solutions out there on the market. We didn't invent IPTV. There's a lot of competition out there. But we're not trying to sell VidOvation today. We're just trying to educate you, so when you do decide to investigate IPTV, we're going to give you the tools and the questions you should ask, and to help you plan and get the best possible product for your client. So let's keep going here. So what are some of the some additional key advantages? So all of these systems can connect to the internet. So if your venue or your corporation or whatever type of facility that you run, you're going to have a website. Maybe you have a blog or an RSS feed. You can pull content from your website and display it through the IPTV system. So we look at IPTV as a very elaborate asset management system. So whether you have live TV, pre-recorded videos, video on demand, digital signage, radio content, audio content, web content, we can aggregate all of that and present it to the fan or the viewer through the IPTV system. Another common thing with an RF system, it's very hard to segment it. Maybe there's certain channels you don't want certain people to look at. Maybe there's some premium channels that only the VIP suites can see. Maybe there's some security and surveillance channels for facility management that you don't want the fans seeing. Only the security professionals need to see that. You can schedule programming. You can put, before the game starts, you could have promotional videos that come up on the displays, and all of that can be timed and synchronized and scheduled. So the other thing too is that when you have an all-digital system, it's much easier to manage. You can turn displays on and off. With facilities being LEED certified, having being more green. Not leaving displays on when there's not a game in session. Those types of things have become more and more important. So you can shut off displays. If you're only using part of the building for a smaller event, you can turn on displays in different areas. So it gives you that control, that security, that scalability, plus it's very reliable. Not all IPTV systems are reliable. Unfortunately, in all walks of life, it's the systems that don't work very well that are out there, unfortunately, that can taint a solution or a segment or a whole market segment. So there are systems out there that don't have very reliable set-top boxes. They're very expensive and they have a tendency to not last that long. So the quality of the set-top box is very important in the IPTV system. I might be jumping ahead a little bit, spilling some of the slides to come, but it's all important. So another important problem that we've seen with other systems, or you want to ask your vendor, are the displays going to be synchronous? We've seen issues where displays that are side by side will be hundreds of milliseconds out of sync with each other. And then especially for a live event, you don't want to be looking at the field and then looking at the display and seeing, a half a second delay. You want a very low latency system, and you don't want delay, and you don't want differences in synchronization. That can be very annoying or very embarrassing, frankly. So video on demand is important. So what do they say when people are speaking? Turn off your cell phone so you don't interrupt the speaker. I'm guilty. Sorry. So I was saying, having video on demand, I spoke about asset management. So you could have a whole library of videos. IPTV also lends itself for team training. So think of this, that a live sporting event, hockey, football, baseball, whatever it might be, the coach could be recording the game in the locker room on his display. And when the period or the quarter ends, they go in the locker room, and boom, he can bring up footage of the previous period or quarter, and critique what the players were doing. So it really expands beyond just entertainment. It could be used for training, for all sorts of things. One important question we ask too is, if some of these advanced features are not important to you, but most importantly, if streaming to desktops, to computers, to smartphones and tablets, you can't do that with an RF cable type system. That can't be done. So if those features, or if any of these features are important to you, that's the deciding factor to make the leap. We've also done systems where we do a hybrid, where you can leave some of the video channels on RF, and then through the remote we would actually switch inputs, and the viewer doesn't even realize what's happening, that some content is coming from the set-top box and some is coming from the RF input. So in some cases we don't have to fully eliminate the RF infrastructure. We can work that in, or slowly migrate over to the more advanced system, or IPTV system. So signage, digital signage, that's always a common counterpart to these types of systems, that people are like, well, we have all these displays, we want to have advertising, we want to have L-bars, we want to have signage. So that's an important element. You want to make sure the system that you choose has that capability. So here's a slide of some of the bits and pieces of a IPTV system. So you could have satellite TV coming in, you could have over-the-air TV coming in, you could have cable TV coming in. Depending upon how your provider delivers the content to you, we prefer not having, say you want to bring in 48 channels of DirecTV. Well, the old school approach was to have 48 set-top boxes, 48 receivers. That's clunky. Dish Network and DirecTV has like a COM 2000 or 3000 device, where it's 48 channels of satellite receiver in one box. So it takes up less rack space. Cable TV, you would hope that they would give you a decrypted signal. If they do give you an encrypted signal, we have appliances that can decode the QAM signal and convert it to IP, or we can decrypt the signal, decode the QAM, and convert to IP. In the case of DirecTV and Dish Network, they use encryption called Proidium, and it can be quite problematic. DirecTV and Dish Network will not turn off encryption unless you have an approved DRM system, or digital rights management system. So VidOvation, or you want to make sure you ask your IPTV vendor, do you have an approved DRM system approved by DirecTV and Dish Network? And there's a very short list. Our solution happens to be on that list, coincidentally, but you need to ask those questions. We've had clients try to go it on their own. Well, I'll put my own IPTV system together, and what happens is you'll be stuck with standard definition. You won't be able to get high definition, or the system just won't work at all. So this is what you need to ask your vendor to make sure that they have the capability to help you with all these different hurdles that may come up. Then you have an element, EPG, Electronic Program Guide. That's important. So whatever content you have on the system, you want to have an electronic program guide. The middleware, that's the glue that sets the user interface, the experience, the branding. It's the glue that holds any IPTV system together. It controls the set-top boxes. It programs the set-top boxes. You can put games in there. This is more for like hotels and resorts where there's like games inside the TV. Billing and reporting. I have a slide that will talk about the ability to maybe to even order food from a VIP suite from Aramark or whoever the food vendor in your facility is. Subscriber management, this would be more for consumer or residential. But you know, the video on demand servers, that this is where you would store your assets, your games, your pre-recorded games that maybe you want to play back. Then we have appliances that allow you to pause live TV. I've been watching a game and you miss the replay on the scoreboard or on the big screen, and it's like, oh man, I wish I could have seen that replay again. You hope like during intermission they'll play the highlight reel again. Now, if you had the ability in your VIP suite or on the device that you brought to the game to replay that goal over and over again and share that moment with your friends next to you in the suite or even in the stands on your own device, to be able to pause the game, back it up, and look at that play over and over and over again, and then even share that video clip with social media, assuming that's what you want to do. You know, there might be rights issues in sharing media on social, you know, sharing the content of the game on social media. But the sky's the limit. Every customer that we work with comes up with a new feature that they want to connect to social media, that they want to, polling is a big thing. One great thing they do at games is they'll poll everyone, and they say, text such and such code to this number and, you know, you'll win a free t-shirt. Well, very cleverly, by 50,000 fans doing that, the venue now has captured their cell phone numbers. And unbeknownst to them, now they're going to be pushed advertising material through the text message, through text messaging. So all types of integration can be achieved to generate revenue, to improve that fan experience. And then you can see here, you know, we can stream to a smart device. Typically, when you're using a generic television or display, you need a set-top box and a remote control. Some TVs are smart TVs. We're compatible with quite a few of the smart TVs that are out there. So again, I'm kind of spilling the beans on slides that are coming down the pike here. Here's another look at how the system works. So the content usually comes from, you know, one of the first questions we ask a potential IPTV customer is, you know, where are you getting the content? So we want to know, is it DirecTV? Is it Dish? Is it cable? Is it your own internal content? Is it some of your own live content? Where are you getting the content? Is it encrypted? That sort of thing. So that's the first step, and then we'll put the necessary equipment in the head end to interface with the provider's gear. Or, you know, in the case of satellite, if Proidium is turned on, we'll have to put the DRM system here to decrypt the Proidium or to get the Proidium decrypted. Then the network, you know, in most cases, you guys are the ones who own the network. So it's going to be the network in the sports venue, in the corporate facility, or whatever type of client we're working with. It could be streamed over satellite, could go over cellular, but most of the time it's on the corporate network. We'll work with your IT department and make sure that we keep them happy. You know, IT guys, their knee-jerk reaction when you mention putting TV and video on their network, there's no, not on my network, because it's going to make more work for them. How I frame it with the IT guys is like, oh, think of it as job security now. It's going to be more bandwidth on your network. Your IT skills are going to be more desirable and more needed. So I always frame it as job security. Most networks are compatible with what we want to do with IPTV. We haven't seen a venue yet that didn't have a network that was multicast capable. You want to have a multicast enabled network to do IPTV. And not to get too technical, unicast, you have to send an individual stream to each device. And if we have hundreds or thousands of devices, think about that. You know, a high def stream is probably, 5 to 8 megabits per second, times thousands of devices. That starts to be a lot of bandwidth. With multicast, basically what happens is a single stream is sent per channel, and it sits in the backbone. And the bandwidth is only used on a segment to the device when a request is made. So we would work with your IT department to make sure that you have enough bandwidth in your backbone. But the worst thing that could happen is, someone in your facility is trying to edit a video clip while trying to watch the game live through the IPTV system. You wouldn't want there to be a network hit, if he's pulling a file off of a SAN device to edit a video clip. If the system is multicast enabled, an individual workstation or an individual device will only see the traffic from the channel they're watching. If they stop watching TV, then the bandwidth usage goes away on that segment. So I hope I'm not getting too technical, or for you guys that are more technical, we can kind of talk about that more offline. But the gist of it is that we want to make sure that we have the ability to enable multicast on your network. Then the middleware. People are like, well, where does the middleware come from? How's it packaged? How do you deliver it? It's basically a server. There's a 1RU, we'll use an HP or a Dell server. Some customers have their own server farm, or they want to do VMware or virtual server. We can accommodate that if that's the way they want to go. Most installs, though, we will install our software ahead of time on a server, test it, and then deliver it to the facility to be installed at the head end. And usually it's a typical system. The base IPTV is one rack unit. Video on demand is like another 1RU server with a whole bunch of storage. And then a third device is usually when you're streaming to mobile devices, smart devices, and tablets. So it's anywhere from 1 to 3 racks typically. A very large system might be 4 or 5 racks because you need extra storage, that sort of thing. But on average, there's like 1 to 3 racks. It's not a huge undertaking. Then these are all the devices we can talk to or we can stream to. So we can stream to desktop computers. So in the scenario where I said the team's back in the locker room, the coach probably's got a computer in there or a big screen display hooked to his PC. He's got some training videos on there. He can record the game, and one of the trainers can be flagging the plays that the team just screwed up in the prior quarter, and have those queued up so the coach and the trainers can show the team where they made some mistakes in the first period and try to improve them. We can stream the laptops. We can stream to generic displays like a computer display. Typically we require an HDMI connection, but we can support analog or component analog or HDMI with a set-top box. Or a smart device or smart TV, we have an app that's compatible with LG and Samsung smart TVs. We have an app that will go on there. You get most of the functionality with a smart TV. I don't, smart TVs, customers will be like, well, smart TV, I get the smart functions for free. Well, the cost is buried in there. My only fear with a smart TV is if that particular display becomes obsolete, we'll have to replace it, and then you'll have to put in a set-top box. So we feel that putting a set-top box in future-proofs the design a little bit more. But if you really want to use smart devices and you don't want to have a set-top box, there's special mounts where we can hide the set-top box behind the TV or put it on a little shelf so it's not visible. We can hide it behind the TV and have the infrared little eye, little extender peek out from behind the TV. So there's a lot of different ways we can install the set-top box. And then, as I mentioned, smartphones, smart devices, and tablets we can stream to as well. So we put together the top 17 IPTV mistakes that we see people make, and one of the common mistakes is boxing yourself in and not having the ability to go to smart devices. So I kind of use that as the pivotal question. You know, are you ready for IPTV? Do your users want to use smart devices, tablets, cell phones to watch TV? Do you want to distribute to computers, whether it's PCs or Macs? And if you say yes to any of these, we feel you're ready for IPTV, or at least start the discussion for IPTV. If you're not interested in any of these features, like I said earlier, maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe the system you have right now is working fine, and you know, you'll wait and see and get IPTV at some future date. Another common mistake is pigeonholing. You know, if you bring DirecTV in on their own, they're gonna run RF cables, or they're going to build a very proprietary closed system for you. So you can get the cable company or the satellite company to put what they'll call IPTV, but it's going to be very limited. It's going to be very closed. You won't be able to put your own video on demand content in there. You won't be able to do signage. You'll be able to get TV. I mean, if that's your goal, you just want to get live TV in the facility, that's a very valid approach. But you won't be able to recoup much of that money when you do want to scale to IPTV. The beautiful thing about our particular flavor of IPTV, the barrier to entry is very low. You know, some of the bigger players out there, you know, you got to spend $100,000 on a head end, you know, starting price. And if you only have a couple of hundred displays or users that you want to hit, that's cost prohibitive. Our systems, you know, you can build up the features. You know, we can put live TV today. We can add video on demand later. We can add signage later. So we can add some of the more advanced features later. So you don't have to burn all your budget day one. You can add these features. So we can work with any satellite, cable, virtually any provider. And we can mix and match or use a combination. You know, some customers have, you know, there's a certain public access channel that they can only get on the local cable company, or some local content that they can only get from cable, and the Dish or DirecTV doesn't have that, but DirecTV has a better sports package, so they need a blend of both, and we can work with both. Then this is a very important issue. So the reason why DirecTV will not give you video content in the clear, they will encode or encrypt the video with Proidium, is to prevent piracy. Now, you can sign a waiver. We've done installs where they will agree to turn off Proidium, and then you don't have to have a sophisticated DRM system, but then the facility is liable if there's any breach. Most of the legal departments of the customers we work with, they don't want that liability, so they'll spend a little extra money and get a DRM system as part of the install, as part of the integration. And throwing a DRM system into an existing IPTV system is not trivial. The encryption algorithm has to be compatible with your set-top box, so all the streams in the ecosystem have to be encrypted, and the cipher keys have to be managed. So it's a quite sophisticated a system to protect the content. It's all to avoid piracy and theft of video content. So, another question, we see clients, they'll go down a road that they think is more economical and then realize that they don't have the scalability to put video on demand, and they don't have the asset management capability to manage their own internal content. So, you want to ask your provider, I don't need video on demand today, but when I do need it in the future, can you put in writing that we have a migration path to add video on demand and asset management type capability further down the road? That's a very important question to ask. Number 5, not being able to put your own live video on. In the case where I said, someone will go and get DirecTV and they'll wire up your facility with DirecTV, it's going to be difficult for you to put your own internal video on that network. If you're a facility that doesn't have its own internal video, like a corporation, maybe that's not important to you. But again, this is the type of questions you should be asked. This should be one of the 17 questions you ask your vendor. I want to put my own content through the system. Here's an example of a mosaic system that we can do, where we can put multiple channels on one display or on one screen. Do a multi-viewer type display. We get asked a lot, can your IPTV system integrate with video conferencing? And again, you want to ask your vendor, we have a conferencing system, can we integrate that with the IPTV system? Again, every conferencing system is different. There's some conferencing systems that use proprietary codecs, but in many cases, with the proper planning, or in some cases we might have to do some transcoding, we should be able to integrate an IPTV system with a conferencing system. If it's a pre-existing conferencing system, we might have to do some transcoding. But this is something that you may want to ask your vendor, that the team management, the facility ownership, I'm sure they have board meetings at the venue. It would be nice if they could stream the video conference to all the displays or all the meeting rooms in the facility, and we can certainly offer that capability. This is something that your IT guys might ask you. What's the security of the system? What's the scalability, the flexibility? IPTV systems, if you set up a system today that has 48 channels, in most cases, just with some like a software key, we can increase the number of channels the system can facilitate. It's very easy to add more channels. When it comes to subscribers, each IPTV server has a 5,000 subscriber limit. In most cases, that's more than enough. It's more of a Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Server, Windows Server limitation than a limitation from our software. But everything is integrated with Windows Server 2008. And there's a 5,000 user limitation. But if you want to have another 5,000 users, you have to put a second server in to get another 5,000 users. So the system is very scalable, very flexible, and it ties in with your network security or your Active Directory. You want to make sure you're not getting a system that has a non-friendly user interface. What we do, well, first of all, the interface is completely customizable. In most cases, we work with the vendor. We'll emulate the colors and the logo, like maybe from their website. If they want something different, we can meet their specific requirements. We just did a project with Viacom Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon has very specific colors for the goop that they use and the branding and whatnot, and we were able to accommodate, or we were able, their media people, we taught them how to edit the look and feel of the GUI interface themselves, being a media company. All this branding, the look and feel can be customized to your team, to your venue. Here's another very important thing. Take the Staples Center here in LA. You got the LA Kings, you got the Clippers, and you got the Lakers. We can have preset branding for each team. So with the push of a couple of buttons in the back end in the admin, we can upload the branding for the Lakers if it's a Lakers game that night, or if it's the Clippers or the Kings, or if it's more of a corporate event, maybe you want the Staples Center branding pushed out on there, or a combination of both. So if some corporate sponsor or some corporation is renting the Staples Center for the night, having some big conference, some big event, 50,000 employees in the stadium, or they're doing the Academy Awards at the Staples Center or the Grammys, they could change the branding of the IPTV system to match the branding for that event or that theme. So again, this is what you want to ask your vendor. Can you offer us that capability? Now, I touched on this before too. If we're gonna have success with IPTV, we got to bring the IT department in early on in the conversation. I like to have them as part of the first initial meeting, because I'm going to have some questions to them about, first off, can you enable multicast on your network? And I will also want to put their minds at ease that, it's not our intention to ruin their lives and crash their network. If we plan the rollout of IPTV together, we can have a successful install. We're also going to need the IT department to give us a network connection where every display is going to be. So if you're upgrading your facility or if it's a new install, we're going to need a LAN connection at every television. We're going to need AC power to the display. We'll probably need one AC plug for the TV, one AC plug for the set-top box, and then an Ethernet connection for the content. We've even done some installs where we'll do the save power. We'll do power over Ethernet and power the amino through the Ethernet if you want to eliminate a power jack. So we've done some creative things that way. So I touched on this before too, that our systems have the ability to work with Active Directory on the Windows Server. So what this means in layman's terms is that a given user or given suite, so I'm at the Staples Center, I'm one of the executives, and I want to log into the TV system. My network credentials can be tied into the credentials for the TV system. If I'm a senior exec, I can see the security cameras, I can see premium content, I can see everything on the network. If I'm a mid-level manager and I log into my computer at the office or at the venue, maybe I don't get to see the security cameras. So we can tie the through groups, through the network groups, through the different security levels, we can assign the access to the TV, the corresponding access to the TV system. So the IT guys love that feature. So we can assign the security professionals have access to security, but maybe you don't want them watching premium content because you don't want them being distracted by ESPN during the day when they're supposed to be watching the security cameras. So that sort of thing. So you can block certain channels to certain users, certain different people with different types of access. So then the other, some of these things, I touched on earlier, but so ask your vendor, do you integrate or do you have the capability of doing digital signage? So this could be a bar at the venue. People are not in their seats at the game, but they still want to watch the game. You can have the content here. This could even be the MLA Center in Tampa Bay. The venue and team ownership, they're buying up all the adjacent businesses around the MLA Center, and they have big plans to tie it all together with IPTV. and to stream content to, a bar that's a block away has live game coverage because it's owned essentially by the team. So showing live team coverage there is part of their business plan. Or you want to display the concession information. Aramark wants to show the latest food that they have available for you to order. Or one of these displays could have the game on so you don't miss the game while you're getting up to get a beer or ordering food. Integrating the signage to social media has become more and more important. So you can see here's some displays that have displaying some social media type content. Does the system integrate with a property management system? That's another very important question. So can we put security cameras? Can the facility manager, even when he's home, look at live video from the security feed when he's in a remote location? And we can give that ability. We can give the ability for people to watch live TV, live content when they're off campus. Maybe you don't want them to be able to watch content when they're off campus, so they have to be on the network in the facility. Whatever you want. Some of the media companies we work with, if an exec is traveling or working from home, they want to be able to watch what's ever going on the IPTV system from a remote location. So your client may want some of these features. So that's an important question to ask. Can we integrate, some of our security cameras and our property management systems into the IPTV system? I kind of touched on this before too. Being able to pause live TV. There might be some rights management issues where you may not want to offer this feature, but again, we can always add it in later. If somebody's got their own device, they're sitting in the stand, they're watching second screen while they're watching the game. Oh, that was a cool play, and then hit a little button and back it up and be able to watch a play over and over again. Or in the VIP suite, they'll show the play once on replay, but they might want to see it again, see it again, see it again, see it again. Maybe it's the family of one of the players. They want to see dad, score the goal again, so they have that ability. The idea is to give people the same experience they have at home. They want an interface that's familiar to them, that looks like their cable company or the satellite company, the TV experience at home. They all operate very similarly. So you don't need a lot of training in order to use the system. Anyone who's familiar with using their TV at home, when they come to the venue, will understand how to use this system without any training. So you want to be able to give them all those features. Then the other problem too is, some customers will be like, well, I put in the COM 2000, I didn't have the budget to put the digital rights management or the DRM system in. Well, then you're going to be stuck with standard def. If that's okay to you, that's okay. The studios are less concerned about standard def content being pirated than HD content. I guess they look at it that, it's not the premium quality. So some systems, if you don't have a DRM in place, they won't play at all. You won't get any video, or you might be seriously handicapped with standard def. And standard def is like a quarter of the pixels. You don't have quite the same feel and the same experience with standard def that you do have with high def. And I think this slide kind of shows, the lack of color depth here between the two different images, the lack of resolution and color depth. If you have a 70-inch display in a suite, you probably don't want to show standard def. It's not going to look very good. So that's another consideration. And then, you don't want to get stuck with a system that has lack of customization. This is a system, our technology was used for the 49ers stadium. You can see here you can do an L bar. So these statistics are, this is like a template that's built into the screen, and the game stats are pushed with an XML file. So your IT department, your graphical department fairly easily can edit these templates. They can tie it to the XML file, so as the stream, as the game, as these games, the scores change, someone doesn't have to be editing this slide by hand. It gets updated automatically, once every 30 seconds, 60 seconds, every few minutes, something like that. The data will be pushed to this portion of the screen. Then these logos, these branding logos, these are all static. So there's different zones. Some systems are a digital signage system that has video bootstrapped into it. Our system is a television system that has signage layered over it. And I'll tell you why that's important. Some of the other systems, when these zones update or change, maybe this Jack in the Box logo changes every 15 seconds. There's different vendors, so it rotates. When the scores change, the video can stutter because the system is not fundamentally a video system. It's a signage system. What we do here is this video window has priority. This is always running, has full priority. So if there is any delay or lag, no one cares if it takes a few 100 milliseconds for the scores to update at the bottom of the screen. The video needs to take priority. The video we don't want to stutter. So it's just a fundamental, it sounds like a subtle thing, but it's a fundamental philosophy in how the system operates. Ours is a television system with graphical overlays. It's not a graphical system with a video overlay that stutters. So these are some of the questions, we encourage you to ask your potential partners or vendors, how do you prevent the video from stuttering? How do you customize the graphics and integrate graphics and stats and statistics with the video? Here's another cool thing. I certainly love this feature. I'm a bit of a foodie. So you're in your VIP suite, and it could be very simple in that it's just a slide to show you the menu. It's a digital menu. So in this case, you see the digital menu, and then maybe there's a phone in the VIP suite, and you call and say, I'd like a cheeseburger, like a hamburger, and they would deliver it to you. We've done integrations with some venues where this page is more of a template, again, with an XML file that pushes the menu items there, and then you can click on an item. You might want some security associated with this, so so some kid in the suite doesn't start ordering cheeseburgers when the adults are not paying attention. So depending upon what your needs are, if you just want a simple electronic menu that you can edit and update that come up on a food channel or a food ordering channel at the venue, that's very simple to do. Or we can do some custom programming and integrate an interface with, Aramark, for example, is the food provider at a lot of venues. So we've integrated with Aramark in the past. So we can work on those types of customizations for you. So ask your vendor, can you do some professional services to integrate catering and food services into the IPTV system? Then I touched on this again, especially for sports venues. Some venue owners have been very upset. Some facility managers have been very upset by this, where displays that are in close proximity are way out of sync. Now, this is a static photograph. You can see roughly here, that you can tell that these are pretty much in sync. It's not extremely scientific, but there are some systems out there that had seconds of delay or hundreds of milliseconds of delay between displays, and then seconds of the delay between the action on the field and the live action on the IPTV system. What we do is the set-top box that we use is an Amino. It's made by Amino. We're not the only IPTV provider to use Amino. We like Amino because it's a very stable platform. And when they come out with a new set-top box, they're very conscious of maintaining legacy. In other words, they're always reverse compatible. So you can go and buy some very inexpensive set-top boxes from China, but that box is not going to be available 6 months from now. And and they're not going to be very reliable. If they do break, you won't be able to find replacements. We've seen installs where clients weren't happy with the synchronization. The set-top boxes are, upwards of $1,500, $2,000 each, and they're not very reliable. A lot of these set-top boxes are used in extreme environments. A lot of these venues are outdoors. The displays are in the blazing sun, or they're in the freezing cold during winter or end of season football games. So there's quite a range of weather conditions, and these expensive $1,500, $2,000 set-top boxes are basically small computers. There's a spinning hard drive and fans in there that impede the reliability. The Amino has no moving parts. It is a miniaturized computer and graphical device, but it has no moving parts. That's what makes it more reliable. It's very small, and it starts at about $200. In volume, you can get them for a little bit less. So it's about a tenth of the cost in some cases. It's more reliable. It's more robust. You get all the graphical capabilities you get with these more expensive boxes, and they've proven to be more reliable. Again, just to kind of reiterate, this is kind of a summary slide, and then I'll dive more into the Amino set-top box. I kind of jumped ahead there a little bit. So basically, what makes our system so simple and easy to use, it's basically a web-based solution, and by that, it's HTML5. So when you're looking at the video or the experience on a TV, on a display, on a computer, on a smart device, it's a web page. So that gives us the customization. Everything is controlled there with cascaded style sheets. So all of you venue owners out there, you have a graphics department. These guys and girls are updating your website, doing the graphics, the in-game graphics. They're going to love this system. They're going to have all the tools. They're going to have all the skills to be able to customize and program this system because it's a web-based interface. It's a web-based fundamental structure. So these other systems, these digital signage systems, you have to buy these elaborate signage editing software that they provide to you. You can use the generic Adobe tools or whatever graphical tools you're using today to edit this system. And there's a whole back-end asset management system, how to change the skin, change the logo, change the menuing system. It's very, very sophisticated. I mentioned kind of up front that we want to kind of migrate to H.264 or MPEG-4, but if your cable operator or your internal content, we can support MPEG-1, 2, or 4. We can support these older standards if necessary. You're going to have less efficiency of bandwidth, but you don't have to transcode or upgrade that necessarily. Advanced channel guide, I talked about electronic programming guide, and then integrating with the Active Directory, and then the middleware is the glue that holds everything together. But I think using this industry standard, very reliable Amino platform for our set-top box, that's very important too. Then we can offer encryption to encrypt. It's more for our DoD clients if they are not so concerned with digital rights management, like getting content from DirecTV, but say you wanted to encrypt your video on demand assets. And that might be important, so the coach might have some behind the scenes training videos that he wants to push over the IPTV system. We can either run those feeds through the DRM system to encrypt them, or if that isn't enough, we can, for DoD type of applications, we can add another layer of encryption to keep those videos very secure. So this is the Amino. It's the H140. You can see here that it's got these tabs. It's nice to mount to the wall. What's nice about this is it has multiple USB ports. So for the pausing of live TV, you could put a little memory stick in here, and you can, it's an inexpensive way to put some storage in the Amino. There's two approaches. We can store locally at the TV or the set-top box, or we can store at the head end. There's pluses and minuses for both, and that would be part of our Q&A process to see, what the particular client's needs are, whether we would do storage at the set-top box or storage at the head end. You can see here it's got an HDMI port, RS-232 control. If the TV has an RS-232 control port on it to turn it on and off and to control volume, this is great. You want the H140 box so you can control your TV. This audio-visual port, we can still do, believe it or not, in this modern age, we can still output analog video and audio if needed. There's a breakout cable that plugs in here to break that out. But most of the time we connect the HDMI. Here's the power port, little reset button, and then this is the Ethernet port. This is what hooks to the network to get the video. And then if you want a digital audio output, it has SPDIF output. So here's the more decorative version of the Amino. It's the A140. So if this was like maybe in an exec, he's got his TV on a credenza, let's say, or on a piece of furniture in his executive office. You might want to have and the Amino is going to be visible. You might want to have the more decorative version. You can see here it only has one USB port. Otherwise, it's very similar. It does have the added ability of this RF pass-through. So this could be handy in this scenario where it's not an RF tuner. That's a common misconception. It just passes the RF. So this could be used in the scenario where we want to do a hybrid of IPTV and cable TV, or we could say, not to be too trendy, but adding some of these over-the-top features to an older cable TV system. So you could bring the RF in and out through here, come into the RF tuner on your TV, have the advanced functions or the advanced channels come out on HDMI, and then in the remote, when you hit the menu and go to an advanced channel, the TV will flash for a split second as it changes from RF input to HDMI input, but the user won't even see it. So there's ways around to kind of have a hybrid of a system. So for those of you that don't know who VidOvations is and what we do, what our history is, I see some friends of mine or former friends of mine from the NHL on the webinar today. VidOvation technology is in all of the NHL hockey venues. We built the in-net goal cameras for the National Hockey League. This is the camera up here, and it watches the goal line. This is my buddy Jonathan Quick here, goalie for the LA Kings. So, we work with broadcasters, sports leagues, news agencies, news networks, government agencies, corporate, film and studio, media outlets. Did I say government agencies? I'll say it again. So we work with quite a wide array, but the common denominator is customers that have a lot of video assets, media assets that they want to display. whether they want to educate their employees or engage their employees, or whether they want to engage their fans or improve the fan experience. Our technology, or call VidOvation, and we'll be able to help you implement some of this technology and help you get over some of the hurdles that I mentioned today in this webinar. I see that couple of questions here. Let me take a